The gun is cold against my throat when he kisses me. Not a gentle kiss, not a lover's kiss. This is punishment and possession wrapped in the taste of expensive whiskey and violence. Luca Morello's hand fists in my hair, yanking my head back, exposing the column of my neck where his weapon rests. His other hand grips my hip hard enough to bruise, pinning me against the marble wall of his Venice palazzo. You think you can play me? His voice is silk over broken glass. You think you can walk into my world, photograph my sins, fuck your way into my head, and I won't know you're working for them? I should be terrified. I am terrified. But my body betrays me, heat pooling low in my belly as his thigh presses between my legs. 3 weeks ago, I was a graduate student photographing architecture. Now I'm a captive in a gilded cage, trapped between a mobster's obsession and a conspiracy I don't understand. I'm not, I gasp, but he silences me with another brutal kiss. Liar. The word ghosts across my lips. But you're my liar now. The gun disappears. His hand replaces it, fingers wrapping around my throat, not choking, but claiming. His eyes are dark promises of everything dangerous and wrong I've ever wanted. Then his phone buzzes. His jaw tightens. He releases me so abruptly I stumble. Get dressed. Dinner with my family in an hour. Try to run and I'll hunt you down. He pauses at the door, something feral in his smile. And trust me, Bella, you don't want to know what I do when I catch prey. The door slams. I'm alone, heart racing, lips swollen, the phantom heat of his hand still burning on my skin. I have no idea if I'll survive tonight. Worse, I'm not sure I want to escape him anymore. Everything changed the moment my camera shutter clicked. I'd been in Milan's Duomo di Milano for 3 hours, crouched behind columns and kneeling in side chapels, capturing the way late afternoon sun transformed stained glass into liquid color. My architecture thesis needed perfection, photographs that showed how sacred spaces manipulated light to create transcendence. Through my telephoto lens, I was focused on a Baroque chapel's marble floor, adjusting for the reflection of a rose window. That's when I saw it. Not the architecture, the murder. In the marble's polished surface, crystal clear, a man in an expensive suit pressing a gun to another man's temple, the traitor's eyes wide with understanding, the trigger pull, the body crumpling like discarded paper. My finger was already on the shutter. Click, 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 3 photographs of a killing. The shooter's head snapped toward me. Our eyes met through the lens, his cold and calculating, mine wide with horror. He was beautiful in the way predators are beautiful. Sharp jawline, dark hair perfectly styled, a suit that probably cost more than my entire year's tuition. Blood spatter decorated his white shirt like abstract art. I ran. My camera bag caught on a pew. I abandoned it, sprinting through the nave in my yellow sundress and sandals, the sound of my footsteps echoing off vaulted ceilings. Tourists scattered. A priest shouted. I burst into the Milan afternoon and disappeared into the crowd. I made it 3 blocks before I remembered. My student ID was in that camera bag. Amina Dung, Via Lamazzo 34, apartment 7. I'd just handed a killer my address. He came for me at 2:47 a.m. I jolted awake to a hand clamped over my mouth and cold metal pressed against my throat. My eyes flew open to see him standing over my bed. The man from the cathedral, suit jacket gone, white shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded with muscle. Scream and you die. His English was perfect, accented with Italian smoothness. Not if you understand. I nodded, heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. He removed his hand slowly, the gun never wavering. In the dim light from my window, I could see his face clearly now. Late 20s, maybe 30. Dark eyes that missed nothing. A scar through his left eyebrow. Handsome enough to be dangerous even without the weapon. Sit up, hands where I can see them. I obeyed, acutely aware I was wearing only a thin nightgown. His gaze flicked down, then back to my face. A quick assessment that made me feel naked despite the fabric. The photographs, he said. Where are they? I don't. Lie to me again and I'll put a bullet in your kneecap. You'll live, but you'll never run from me again. He said it so calmly, like he was discussing the weather. The photographs. Cloud storage, email, where? My laptop. I pointed with a shaking hand. On the desk, I haven't uploaded them, I swear. He pulled zip ties from his pocket and bound my wrists together. Then he moved to my desk, one-handed while keeping the gun trained on me, and opened my laptop. His fingers flew across the keyboard, checking my cloud storage, my email, my social media. You photograph architecture. He scrolled through my portfolio, lingering on images of war-damaged buildings in South Sudan, restoration projects in Rome, structural studies of Venetian palazzos. Churches, ruins, bridges. Yet you were in the Duomo on a Tuesday afternoon, exactly where you needed to be to witness a private execution. Coincidence? Yes, my voice cracked. I'm doing my graduate thesis on sacred architecture and light. The Duomo is on my list. I didn't know. I wasn't supposed to see. Who hired you? No one. I'm just a student. He crossed the room in 3 strides and gripped my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. Up close, I could smell bergamot and something darker. Gunpowder, maybe. Expensive cologne and violence. I don't believe in coincidence. His thumb brushed my lower lip, a gesture that felt intimate and threatening all at once. Until I know who sent you and what they know, you belong to me. What? The word came out as a whisper. He released my face and tossed my coat onto the bed. Get dressed. We're leaving. Where are you? Taking me? Somewhere I can keep you alive, or kill you properly. I haven't decided yet. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in the passenger seat of a black Mercedes, hands still zip-tied, wearing jeans and a sweater over my nightgown because he'd been watching while I dressed. He drove in silence, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the gear shift inches from my thigh. We headed northeast, toward Venice. What's your name? I asked after an hour of suffocating quiet. Luca. Are you going to kill me, Luca? He glanced at me, something unreadable flickering across his face. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be a memory in that apartment. This is precautionary. Kidnapping. Protection. His jaw tightened. The man I killed betrayed my family. His associates know there was a witness. If they find you before I do, he didn't finish. He didn't need to. So I'm bait. You're leverage, insurance, a puzzle I need to solve before I decide what to do with you. He turned onto a bridge, and suddenly Venice rose before us, ancient and beautiful and suffocating. Welcome to your new home, Amina Dung from South Sudan, who photographs sacred spaces and runs track at university. I know everything about you now. Try to remember that. The palazzo sat on the Grand Canal like a jewel in a crown. 16th century architecture restored to impossible beauty. Marble columns, frescoed ceilings, balconies overlooking dark water that glittered with reflections of streetlights. Luca unlocked a suite of rooms on the 3rd floor and gestured inside. Bedroom with a canopy bed and silk sheets. Bathroom with marble everywhere. A sitting room with leather chairs and shelves of books. Balcony doors showing a 50-foot drop to the canal below. Everything you need except freedom, he said, cutting the zip ties from my wrists. He handed me a phone with a single contact saved. Luca. This is the only number that works. You try to call anyone else, I'll know. You try to leave, I'll know. You try to signal for help from the balcony. You'll know. I rubbed my wrists where the plastic had bitten into skin. Smart girl. He moved toward the door. Someone will bring you clothes and food in the morning. Don't test me. Wait. The word escaped before I could stop it. He paused, hand on the doorframe. Are you going to kill me? He looked back at me, and for just a second, I saw something almost human in his expression. Conflict, curiosity. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be buried in the canals. This is something else. What? I'm not sure yet. He stepped into the hallway. Sleep if you can. We have a lot to discuss tomorrow. The door closed. The lock clicked. I stood in the center of a gilded cage watching the Grand Canal through floor-to-ceiling windows and realized I was trapped with a beautiful monster who held my life in his hands. The worst part? The absolute worst part? When he touched my face, when his thumb had brushed my lip, I'd felt heat, desire, the kind of want that gets people killed. I sank onto the bed and tried not to think about his eyes, his hands, the controlled violence humming beneath his expensive suit. But someone in his family had orchestrated this. Someone knew exactly where I'd be in that cathedral. Someone had set both of us up. And until we figured out who, I was his prisoner or his protection. Time would tell which. Luca visited at unpredictable times over the next 5 days. 3 a.m. the first night, waking me from nightmares with his presence in my doorway, watching me with those dark, calculating eyes, till I asked if he needed something. "Just making sure you're still here," he had said, and disappeared. Noon the second day, bringing me a bag of clothes that fit perfectly, which meant he'd guessed my sizes. Jeans, sweaters, dresses, underwear that made me blush because it was expensive lace, the kind you wore for someone. Twilight on day 3, sitting across from me at the small dining table while I ate pasta he'd had delivered from some restaurant I couldn't name, watching me eat like he was cataloging my reactions. "Tell me about Juba," he said. "What do you want to know? Why you left? Why you came here? Why architecture?" So I told him. About my father, a teacher executed by militia for educating girls. About my mother dying when I was 12. About photographing war-damaged buildings at 15, seeing beauty in ruins, wanting to rebuild what violence had destroyed. He listened with an intensity that felt like being studied under a microscope. "You build things," he said quietly. "I destroy them. That's the difference between us." "You could build," I offered, then wondered why I was trying to find humanity in my captor. "No, I couldn't." He stood, walked to the window. "I was 8 when my father made me watch my first execution." "This is the family business," he said. "You need to see what power looks like." I threw up afterwards. He beat me for showing weakness. Luca's reflection in the glass was carved from stone. By the time I was 16, I didn't throw up anymore. The silence stretched between us like a living thing. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. He turned to face me. "Because you look at me like I'm human. I'm trying to figure out if that's strategic or stupid. Maybe it's just honest." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe. He left without another word. On day 5, I found him on the balcony at 2 a.m., whiskey glass in hand, staring at the canal below. Against every survival instinct, I joined him. "You don't sleep either," I observed. "The dead keep inconvenient hours." His voice was rough, unguarded in a way it hadn't been before. "The man I killed in the cathedral, Marco Rinaldi. I grew up with him. He taught me to shoot. Then he sold my family's shipping routes to our rivals. 20 good men died because of his betrayal." "So you executed him?" "Yes." He drained his whiskey. "And I'd do it again. But that doesn't mean I sleep well." I should have gone back inside. Should have maintained distance, preserved the captor-captive boundary. Instead, I stood beside him and watched the canal glitter in moonlight, and for the first time since he'd invaded my apartment, the silence between us felt almost comfortable. By the second week, we'd developed routines we never acknowledged out loud. Morning espresso in the library. He drank his black and bitter, judging my excessive sugar with raised eyebrows and a hint of a smile that transformed his severe face into something almost boyish. Evening walks through the palazzo's frescoed halls where I lectured him on Baroque architecture and Renaissance restoration techniques. He listened with unexpected attention, asking intelligent questions about load-bearing walls and the mathematics of domes. "You actually care about this," I said one evening, surprised. "I own 6 properties across Italy. They're investments," but he trailed off, looking up at a ceiling fresco of angels and demons. "When you explain how they were built, why certain choices were made, they stop being assets and start being legacy, history, something worth preserving instead of just monetizing." "You could restore them properly," I suggested. "Hire actual conservationists instead of cheap contractors." His lips quirked. "Are you trying to reform the mob through architecture?" "I'm trying to give you something to do besides kidnapping graduate students." He laughed, a real laugh, surprised out of him. The sound transformed him from dangerous to devastating. That's when I started sketching him. Not formally. Just rough drawings in the margins of the architectural books he'd given me. The sharp line of his profile when he took phone calls in rapid Italian. The way he rolled up his shirt sleeves when he was thinking. The calculated violence in his posture that never quite left, even in moments of calm. He caught me one afternoon, during a call with someone he addressed as uncle, ended the call abruptly and crossed the library to where I sat. "Am I your subject now?" His voice was low, dangerous. I didn't apologize, didn't close the book. "You're interesting. Terrible, but interesting." He took the book from my hands, studying my sketch. His jaw tightened. You should be terrified of me. I am. I met his gaze steadily. But I'm also trapped here with you. I might as well understand what you are. What am I? A man who kills people but doesn't sleep well, who drinks expensive whiskey and knows the difference between Baroque and Rococo, who keeps me in a cage but hasn't touched me. The words hung between us. Why haven't you touched me, Luca? His eyes darkened. He set the book down with careful control. Because if I start, I won't stop. The air between us turned electric. Is that a threat or a promise? He leaned down, hands bracing on either side of my chair, caging me in. It's a warning. I'm not a good man, Amina. I'm not the protagonist of one of your architectural restoration projects. You can't save me. I don't want to save you. My voice came out breathier than intended. I just want to understand you. Understanding me is dangerous. Everything about this is already dangerous. His gaze dropped to my mouth. For a heartbeat, I thought he would kiss me. Then he pushed away abruptly, crossing to the window with his back to me. The air conditioning is broken, he said roughly. Palazzo's old. Technician comes tomorrow. He left the library like he was escaping a fire. The heat wave hit Venice like a punishment. The air conditioning wasn't fixed. The system was too old, needed parts from Florence. So the palazzo became oppressive with summer heat. I wore less. Tank tops and shorts. He noticed. Every accidental touch became charged. His hand on my back as he guided me through a doorway. The brush of our fingers when he handed me a book. The moment we both reached for the same door handle and our hands collided. Neither of us acknowledged it. Both of us felt it. On the 16th night, a thunderstorm rolled across the Adriatic. The power went out. I found Luca in the library with candles and a bottle of wine, watching lightning illuminate the canal. Rain hammered the windows like it was trying to break through. Can't sleep? He asked without looking at me. Neither can you. He poured a second glass of wine without asking, and I took it. We drank in silence, watching the storm, until the wine loosened my tongue. Tell me something true, I said. Something you've never told anyone. He was quiet for so long, I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, when I was 8 and my father made me watch that execution, I didn't just throw up. I cried. I begged him to stop it. I said I'd do anything, be anything. Just, please don't kill that man in front of me. His voice was hollow. My father made me watch anyway. Then he told me crying was weakness, that mercy was weakness, that if I wanted to survive in our world, I needed to kill the part of me that felt. Did you? Kill it? I thought I had. He finally looked at me. Until you. The storm outside had nothing on the one building inside the library. Why are you really keeping me here? I whispered. Because if you leave, they'll kill you to close the loop. Because I need to understand who set us both up. Because... He stopped, stood, walked to the window with tension radiating from every line of his body. Because you look at me like I'm human, and I don't know what to do with that. I stood, moving behind him until I was close enough to feel his heat. Luca. He turned, and the space between us was oxygen waiting for a spark. This is a mistake, he warned. Everything about this is already a mistake. He kissed me with barely restrained violence, weeks of tension igniting into desperate need. His hands fisted in my hair, his body pressing mine against the bookshelf. I kissed back with equal hunger, fingers clawing it. His shirt, all the fear and anger and unwanted desire combusting into something that would ruin us both. He lifted me, my legs wrapping around his waist, his mouth trailing fire down my throat. I gasped his name, and he groaned against my skin. Then he pulled back, breathing hard, conflict raw on his face. This changes nothing, he said. Liar, I breathed. He set me down carefully, like I was something breakable, like he was afraid of what he wanted to do to me. Go to bed, Amina. Come with me. If I do, I'll fuck you until you forget your own name, until you understand exactly what kind of monster I am, until you're mine in ways you can't take back. His voice was gravel and dark promises. Is that what you want? I should have said no, should have run. Instead, I grabbed his shirt and pulled him back to me. Yes. He kissed me again, deeper this time, his hands sliding under my tank top. My back hit the bookshelf. Books fell around us. Neither of us cared. Then his phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. "Luca," I gasped against his mouth. He swore in Italian, vicious and creative, and grabbed his phone, saw the name, went very still. "I have to take this." His voice was dead, controlled. He stepped away from me, leaving me disheveled and aching against the bookshelf. "Go to your room." "What?" "No." Now, not angry, afraid. "Whoever's calling at 2 a.m. during a storm knows I'm here, knows I'm not alone. Go." I went, but I heard him answer, "Zio Salvatore, to what do I owe?" The door closed before I heard the rest. I stood in the dark hallway, breathing hard, lips swollen, body humming with interrupted desire, and realized someone knew about us. Someone was watching. And whatever trap we were caught in was about to close. Luca came to my room at dawn with dark circles under his eyes and a laptop in his hands. "We need to talk." He set the laptop on the desk and pulled up security footage. The cathedral, the day of the murder. Grainy, but clear enough. I retrieved the deleted files from the Duomo's security system. He fast-forwarded through footage, stopping on a woman in designer sunglasses entering a side chapel 10 minutes before the killing. "Watch her." The woman positioned herself with a perfect view of both the murder location and the main nave where I'd been photographing. She checked her phone, adjusted her position, then waited. The murder happened. I ran. The woman watched me go. Only then did she leave. "You were set up," Luca confirmed. "Someone wanted you in that cathedral. Someone wanted you to see what I did. The question is why?" My stomach turned cold. "Who is she?" "Giulia Santoro, my uncle Salvatore's lawyer and mistress." He zoomed in on her face. "She has access to family schedules, business operations, security protocols. If she's involved, someone high up is orchestrating this." "Your uncle?" "Maybe, or someone using his pillow talk against him." He closed the laptop and looked at me. "I need your help. You're an architect. You notice details, spatial relationships. Look through your photographs again, everything from that week. Tell me if you see her or anyone unusual." "So I'm not just a prisoner anymore? You're a partner, in this at least." His jaw tightened. "Someone is playing us both. I want to know who, don't you?" I did. God help me, I did. We spent the next 2 days in his office, going through my photographic archives, reconstructing that week in Milan, cross-referencing locations with family business, building a timeline. Working together meant proximity, meant hours side by side, his shoulder brushing mine, his hand occasionally covering mine on the mouse, the scent of bergamot and clean cotton driving me slowly insane. "We need rules," he said on the second day, not looking at me, "about what happened in the library." "What rules?" "It doesn't happen again. We focus on the work, nothing personal." I laughed without humor. Little late for that. "Amina, no." I stood, needing distance. "You don't get to kiss me like that, tell me I'm yours, then pretend it's nothing." He stood too, tension rolling off him. "It's not nothing, that's the problem. If I let myself want you the way I do, I'll lose focus. And in my world, losing focus gets people killed. So I'm a distraction. You're the only real thing in my life right now, and it's terrifying." He crossed to me, cupped my face with surprising gentleness. "I can't protect you if I'm thinking about how you taste. Can't investigate who's trying to destroy me if I'm imagining what you'd sound like underneath me. So yes, rules, for both our sakes." His thumb brushed my lower lip, the same gesture from that first night, but now it carried the weight of interrupted pleasure and impossible want. "And if I don't want rules," I whispered, "then you're more dangerous than I thought." He kissed me, soft this time, almost sad, then pulled away. "Tomorrow night. My uncle is hosting a family dinner at Lake Como. I'm bringing you." "What? Why?" "Because I need to see who recognizes you, who knows about the cathedral. And because keeping you hidden isn't working, they already know I have you." His expression hardened into something lethal. "Time to flush them out." The Villa Morello sat on Lake Como like something from a dream or a nightmare. Old money and older violence, Renaissance architecture and modern security, beauty built on blood. Luca dressed me himself, bringing a black cocktail dress that cost more than my semester's tuition, expensive heels, jewelry that felt like chains. "You're my architectural consultant," he said, fastening a necklace around my throat. His fingers lingered. "Here to advise on property investments. Stay close, smile, play the role. And if someone recognizes me from the cathedral, then we learn who's been pulling the strings." He met my eyes in the mirror. "Trust me tonight. Can you do that?" I nodded, even though trusting him felt like jumping off a cliff. The villa was full of beautiful, dangerous people. Luca's family, his father's legacy. Uncle Salvatore, silver-haired, charming, with eyes that missed nothing. His wife, cold elegance in Chanel. Cousins I couldn't keep track of, and his sister. Rosa Morello was a blade disguised as a woman. Sharp suit, sharper intelligence, watching me from the moment we arrived. "Who's this, Luca?" she asked, air-kissing his cheeks while studying me. "Amina Dung, architectural consultant, helping with some property evaluations." "How fascinating." Rosa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Where did you study?" I smiled back, playing the role. "Milan, specializing in historic preservation and sacred architecture." "Sacred architecture? How specific?" She sipped champagne. "Have you worked on many projects in Milan?" The question felt like a trap. "A few. My thesis focuses on light manipulation in ecclesiastical spaces. The Duomo has been particularly insightful." Something flickered in Rosa's expression. Gone too fast to read. Luca's hand settled on the small of my back, possessive and warming. "I'm hoping she can advise on the Venice palazzo restoration. The east wing needs expert attention." We moved through the dinner like dancers in a play. I charmed his cousins with stories about Venetian conservation, discussed restoration techniques with his uncle, all while Rosa watched me like I was a puzzle she needed to solve. After dinner, she cornered me on the terrace. "I know what you are to him." Her voice was soft, deadly. "I see how he looks at you, how he touched your back when you walked in. Protective, possessive. My brother doesn't touch people unless he's killing them or fucking them. So which is it?" I kept my expression neutral. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do." She leaned closer. "I don't know who sent you or what they promised, but this will destroy him. Luca acts strong, but he's soft underneath. Always has been. That's why Father never trusted him to lead." Her eyes held mine. "Whatever game you're playing, it won't end well, for either of you." Before I could respond, Luca appeared at my elbow. His expression was carved from ice. "Time to go." The car ride back to Venice was silent, tense. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "She knows," I finally said. "She suspects. That's different. She thinks I'm playing you." He pulled over abruptly on a mountain road overlooking the lake, turned to me with fury and something else in his eyes. "Are you? Is this us part of the setup?" The hurt beneath the anger was devastating. "You think I'm working with them after everything?" "I don't know what to think." His voice cracked. "You appear in my life exactly when I need a witness. You're perfect, vulnerable, innocent, foreign. The kind of woman I'd never suspect. And now you're in my head, my bed, my goddamn heart, and I can't see straight enough to know if it's real or strategy." I slapped him. His head snapped sideways. Silence. When he looked back at me, there was blood on his lip where my ring had caught. "I'm the victim here, Luca. I lost my freedom, my life, my future, because your world pulled me in. Because you kidnapped me. Because someone in your family set this up." I was shaking. "Don't you dare question whether my fear is real. Whether what I feel..." I stopped, horrified at what I'd almost admitted. "What do you feel?" His voice was rough. "Nothing. I feel nothing. Because you're my captor, and this is Stockholm Syndrome. And when this is over, I'm going back to Juba and forgetting you exist." We stared at each other, both knowing I was lying. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. He kissed the words off my lips. "Liar. Bastard." Yes. He kissed me again, deeper. "But I'm your bastard, whether you admit it or not." We made it back to the palazzo, barely keeping our hands off each other. He carried me to his bedroom, not mine, and kicked the door shut. "Last chance," he warned, already pulling my dress down. "Tell me to stop." "No." I yanked his shirt open, buttons scattering. No rules, no stopping. I want this. He lifted me onto his bed, following me down with predatory grace. His mouth found my throat, my collarbone lower. I arched into him, gasping his name. You drive me insane, he muttered against my skin. Can't think, can't focus, just want you all the time. Then take me. He did. It was desperate and hungry and everything the library had promised. His hands mapped my body like he was memorizing terrain. His mouth followed. I came apart under him once, twice, crying out in Italian I didn't know I remembered. When he finally pushed inside me, we both groaned at the rightness of it, like this was inevitable, like we were always going to end up here. Mine, he growled, setting a rhythm that made me forget my own name. Say it! Yours, I gasped, nails raking down his back. God, Luca! He kissed me through my third orgasm, swallowing my cries, then followed me over the edge with my name on his lips. Afterwards, tangled in expensive sheets, I traced the scars on his chest, bullet wounds, knife cuts, the topography of violence. This can't work, I whispered. I know. He kissed my hair. Your world will destroy us. Probably. We should stop. Go back to captor and prisoner, something safe. Nothing about you is safe. He tipped my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. But I don't want safe. I want you. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. The message made my blood turn to ice. Luca saw my expression. What is it? I had to choose. Show him and prove I was a pawn, or hide it and prove Rosa right. I showed him. He read the message, went white, then empty. The shutters came down behind his eyes. He got up, pulled on pants with mechanical precision, grabbed my dress from the floor and threw it at me. Get dressed. Luca, I didn't get dressed. His voice was dead. He left the room, returned with my bag, packed, clothes, money, a plane ticket to Juba. There are contacts in this envelope. They'll get you out of Italy safely. No emotion. Nothing. The man I'd just made love with was gone, replaced by the monster from the cathedral. This is over. I'm not working with them. Don't you understand? I'm a victim too. I said get out. He opened the door. Now, Luca, please. If you're still here in 5 minutes, I'll have you removed. He wouldn't look at me. Goodbye, Amina. The door slammed. I stood in the Venice night with freedom in my hands and devastation in my chest, and realized that losing him hurt worse than anything his family could do to me. I didn't get on the plane. Fuck that. Fuck him. And fuck whoever set us both up. I used Luca's money and contacts against him, tracked the phone number to a burner purchased in Milan, bribed my way into university security systems to find deleted cathedral footage from different angles, called in favors with architecture professors who knew people in preservation societies who knew people in Italian law enforcement. 3 days later, I had a name, Giulia Santoro. The woman from the cathedral worked for Salvatore, yes, but her phone records showed calls to someone else, someone inside the Morello family who wasn't Luca's uncle. I found her at a cafe in Milan's fashion district, designer sunglasses and expensive coffee. I sat down across from her uninvited. You were at the Duomo, I said without preamble. You made sure I saw the murder. Who are you working for? She studied me with cool amusement. You have more courage than sense. Answer the question. Or what? You'll go to the police with your story about witnessing a mob execution? That worked out so well for you last time. She sipped her espresso. You should have taken the plane ticket. Should have disappeared while you still could. Who are you working for? Someone who understands that Luca Morello is too weak to lead. Someone who needed proof. She leaned forward. Love makes men vulnerable, soft. Your job was to be that weakness, to burrow under his skin until he couldn't see straight, and you did it, beautifully. My stomach turned over. I wasn't working for anyone, but you loved him anyway, even better. She smiled. Authentic emotion is so much harder to fake. The way he looks at you, the way he chose you over family protocol, perfect. I'm done being used. Are you? She stood, gathering her bag. Because I have a meeting tonight that might interest you. Via Mecenate, the old warehouses, 11 p.m. Come alone if you want answers. She left. I sat there shaking, then pulled out Luca's phone, the one he'd given me for emergencies. One contact, his number. I typed, I hit send before I could reconsider, The warehouse smelled like rust and old concrete. I arrived at 10:45, moving through darkness with just my phone flashlight. Every instinct screamed this was stupid, a trap. But I was done running, done being a Teo's pawn. I found Julia in the center of the main warehouse floor, with a gun and rope. "I'm disappointed," she said, gesturing with the weapon. "I told you to come alone." "I am alone." "Then you're stupider than I thought. Sit," she pointed at a chair. "Hands behind your back." I complied because the alternative was getting shot. She tied me expertly, professional knots I couldn't escape. "He'll come," I said. "Luca will come." "I know, that's the point." She checked her watch. "Should be here any minute. Men in love are so predictable." Footsteps echoed through the warehouse. Luca appeared from the shadows, gun drawn, eyes scanning for threats. They landed on me, widened with fury and fear. "Amina." "Hello, Luca." Julia pressed her gun to the back of my head. "Right on time." He aimed at Julia. "Let her go." "I don't think so. Not yet." She smiled. "You couldn't stay away. From the truth or the girl. Either way, you've proven my point." "What point?" His voice was deadly calm, but I could see the tension in his shoulders, the calculation in his eyes. "That you're weak, compromised, unfit to lead the family." A slow clap echoed through the warehouse. Rosa Morello stepped from the shadows. Not Salvatore, not some outside enemy, his sister. "Brava, Julia," Rosa said. "Well played." Luca's gun shifted toward Rosa, but he didn't lower it. "This was you, all of it." "Of course it was me." Rosa circled us like a shark. "You think Father would have chosen you if he'd known how soft you really are? How easily a pretty face could distract you?" She gestured at me. "I gave you the perfect test. An innocent witness, a woman you'd want to protect, to possess, to save, and you broke exactly as predicted." "Why?" Luca's voice was rough. "Because I'm better than you, smarter, more ruthless. But I'm a woman, so Father overlooked me, made you heir. You, who has nightmares about the men you've killed, who drinks alone and questions orders, who falls in love with his captive like some romantic fool." Rosa's voice dripped contempt. "The family needs strength. I'll give them that. By framing me. By proving you're compromised. Look at you now. Gun on me when you should be focused on the woman with a gun to your girlfriend's head. You've already made your choice, brother. Her overblood. That's all the family needs to see." Luca's jaw tightened. "You're right about one thing. I have made my choice." He shot Rosa's shoulder. The gunshot was deafening. Rosa went down screaming. Julia jerked in surprise, and Luca moved, a blur of controlled violence that disarmed her in 3 moves and sent her sprawling. He cut me free with a knife from his boot. "Can you run?" "Yes." Bullets tore through the warehouse, Rosa's backup emerging from the shadows. Luca grabbed my hand and we ran, ducking behind shipping containers while gunfire echoed. "This way." He pulled me toward a side exit, more gunfire. He returned it without breaking stride, every shot precise. We burst into the Milan night and threw ourselves into his car. He drove like he was fleeing the devil. We ended up at a safe house on the outskirts, an apartment complex that looked abandoned. He cleared it room by room before letting me inside. Only then did I see the blood. "Luca, your arm..." "Graze, I'm fine." But he winced when I pulled his jacket off. The bullet had carved a furrow through his bicep. Not fatal, but bad enough. I found a first aid kit and made him sit while I cleaned the wound. My hands shook. His didn't. "You came," I said quietly, wrapping gauze. "Even though you thought I betrayed you. I knew you hadn't. Not really." His good hand caught mine. "That text, demanding I come alone, meeting at 11 p.m., wasn't your style. You would have called. Would have explained first. It was bait. But I couldn't let them use you as bait without me there. You could have been killed. So could you." He pulled me close with his uninjured arm, rested his forehead against mine. "I should never have sent you away. Should have trusted you. Should have..." I kissed him to shut him up. Soft this time, not desperate. A promise instead of hunger. When we broke apart, his eyes were dark with emotion. "I love you," he said simply. "I don't know when it happened or how to stop it. But I love you, Amina. And that might be the most dangerous thing I've ever admitted." My heart cracked open. "I love you too, even though I shouldn't, even though it's insane. What do we do now?" "Survive," I finished bandaging him. "Figure out who Rosa's allies are. Protect yourself. Then..." I hesitated. I can't stay in your world, Luca. It'll destroy who I am. I know. His voice was rough. And I can't leave mine. The family will fracture without leadership. Civil war. Innocents will die. We stared at each other, two people who'd found everything wrong and couldn't let go. He pulled me onto his lap, careful of his injury, and kissed me with devastating tenderness. Tonight. Just give me tonight. Yes. We made love slowly this time. Not desperate, memorizing. His hands gentle, worshipful. My touch careful around his wounds, the old scars and the new. Afterwards, we lay tangled together, watching dawn break through grimy windows. I have to go back, he said against my hair. Face the family. Deal with Rosa. If I run, they'll hunt us both. I know. And you need to go, really go. Back to Juba, back to your life. Let me handle my family without you as a target. I know that too. But God, I don't want to let you go. I turned in his arms, traced his jaw, his lips. Then we'll have tonight, and the memory of it, and whatever impossible thing this was. Is, he corrected. Whatever impossible thing this is. We stayed there as morning arrived, holding each other like we could stop time through will alone. But time never stops. And eventually, his phone rang. The family was calling him home. I dressed while he made arrangements on the phone, cold, efficient, the boss again. When he hung up, he looked at me with such raw emotion, it hurt to meet his eyes. The tickets and contacts are still valid. I'll make sure you get to the airport safely. No goodbyes at the airport, please. He nodded. Here then. We stood at the apartment door, and it felt like dying. Go build beautiful things, he said, touching my face one last time. You deserve that much. Try not to get killed by your family. I'll do my best. He kissed me, brief, devastating. Then opened the door. I walked out without looking back, because if I looked back, I'd stay, and staying would get us both killed. 3 months felt like years. I was in Juba, designing a community center for war orphans, using Luca's blood money to build something clean. The irony wasn't lost on me. Every sunrise made me think of Venice. Every shadow reminded me of his hands. Every time I designed defensible spaces or secure entries, I heard his voice explaining family protocols. My assistant noticed. You okay, boss? Fine, I lied, but I wasn't fine. I was haunted by a beautiful monster I'd left in Italy, wondering if he was alive, if he'd survived the family tribunal, if he thought about me at all. My answer came in a package, architectural plans for a hospital in South Sudan, fully funded, state-of-the-art. With a note in familiar handwriting, I stared at the plans for an hour, crying too hard to see the blueprints. Then I booked a flight to Milan. I found him where I knew he'd be, the Venice palazzo, standing on our balcony at 2 a.m. with whiskey. Some things never change. I stepped onto the balcony. He didn't turn. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly. I know. It's not safe. I know that too. Finally, he turned, looked at me with such hunger and longing it took my breath away. The hospital plans. I read them, the school annexes, the community programs. I moved closer. It's a future. It's just money trying to balance scales that can't be balanced. It's more than that. I took his hand. He closed his eyes like it hurt. It's you trying to build instead of destroy. Amina, I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting you. Can't stop. I stopped, swallowed hard. I love you, and I hate that I love you. But I do. He set down the whiskey and pulled me close, forehead resting against mine. I've transferred half the family assets into legitimate businesses, set up humanitarian foundations, funded conflict zone rebuilding in Syria, Yemen, Sudan. He stopped. Trying to be someone you could respect. I already respect you. You shouldn't. Too late. We kissed like people drowning, finding air in each other, desperate and tender and right. When we finally broke apart, I said, I have terms. Terms? If we do this, really do this, I need rules, boundaries. He sat on the balcony ledge, pulling me between his legs. I'm listening. We talked until dawn. I won't live in Italy permanently, I declared. 6 months in Juba building my projects. 6 months here. Good. I don't want you trapped. I won't be your mistress or your secret. You'll be my partner, public enough to keep you safe, private enough to avoid making you a target. He thought. Legitimate business functions only. No family meetings, no mob business. I want full financial transparency. If you're funding my work, I need to know it's legal money. I'll show you the books, every legitimate venture I'm building. He paused. I'm not clean, Amina. I never will be completely clean. But I'm trying to shift the family toward legal operations. Real estate, architecture preservation, technology investments. It'll take years. I know, I touched his face. I'm not asking you to be perfect. Just better. I can do better. And I'll teach you about building, about creating instead of destroying. Deal. He pulled me closer. This is messy, complicated, impossible, I agreed. But possible enough to try. Yes. We kissed as sunrise flooded the Venetian balcony, two damaged people choosing each other despite every reason not to. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was honest. Real. Ours. 6 months later, the hospital in Juba broke ground with Luca in attendance, the first time a Morello had been photographed at a humanitarian project. The family whispered, but he didn't care. In Venice, we restored the palazzo's east wing together. My designs, his funding, both of us learning to build something that wasn't built on blood. In Milan, I met his inner circle, not the family, but Marco and the men he trusted. They looked at me like I was an exotic animal at first. Then Marco said, "You made him laugh. I haven't heard him laugh in 10 years. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." The danger didn't disappear. Salvatore still watched us with calculating eyes. Other families saw Luca's softness as opportunity. Death threats arrived monthly. But we were smarter now, harder to separate, impossible to break. On a Juba night 6 months after our reunion, we sat on the hospital rooftop watching sunset. I sketched the skyline while he read my thesis on sacred architecture. "Do you regret it?" I asked. "Everything that happened? The cathedral?" "No, it gave me you. I meant leaving your old life behind." He considered. "I haven't left it. I'm transforming it, slowly, with you." He set down the thesis and pulled me close. "Some days I still wake up wondering if you're real, or if I've finally lost my mind." "Both?" I suggested. He laughed, that surprised sound I loved. "Probably." I leaned against him, watching the sun set over a city torn by war but rising from ashes, just like us. "Still terrified of me?" he murmured. "Terrified of us," I corrected. "Of what we could become, of what happens if this doesn't work. And if it does work, then we're building something impossible, and I've always liked impossible projects." He kissed my hair. "To impossible projects, then. And the people. Crazy enough to try them." We sat there as darkness fell, two people who'd found love in violence and chose to make something beautiful from it anyway. Messy, imperfect, dangerous, but undeniably, impossibly real.